Hi and welcome to this new Tamis reading. Let's take a look at what frequency is currently being downloaded and ready for activation. It's going to be in three cards. The first one is the frequency details. The second one is what can be released in order to integrate better. And the third one is advice. So let's see what we're working with right now. And the frequency is the Empress. And the Empress, I'm getting a level of feminine mastery over yourself. It's you're mastering yourself, but it's in a feminine energy. It's pretty much as if some of what we've witnessed as the divine feminine rising and the re-empowerment of like women to some degree, emotionally speaking. How I see it is more conscious self-preservation, and it's also in harmony with Mother Earth and nature, because at some point if we just keep giving access and producing labor and not getting a fair exchange in return, it can't be sustainable any way you look at it regardless. So that's been ongoing energetically in many levels of society and nature, and now it's reaching a level of stabilization that is now allowed to be permanent. As you know, consciousness works in levels, and as we integrate higher aspect and release density, we help rise the level of consciousness available on Earth. And at some point, when those levels get reached by a critical mass, they start stabilizing and become a new anchor point that makes it easier for people below that level to reach them, because it feels like there's something to hold on to when you get there, that you have like a more sure footing. And if you're in the first wave of stabilization, you must have had to hold that energy within yourself, work with that energy within yourself, feeling that you're going towards some degree of mastery, but no footing. So it's always unstable, and you work at it with everything you've got, and usually it requires a much higher level of faith. So you work with the ethers, the astrals, you get a lot of psychic attacks in order to stabilize that level, because that actually brings people to safety faster and out of reach from lower frequencies, agendas and entities that would feed off of their energy. And you're offering a space now, a platform that assures that when they start working on themselves, they get somewhere that is not fully destabilizing and terrifying to the human experience. And it's about time we get somewhere with this, because I feel like I've been seeing a lot of talk about that, and you've probably seen like the 4B movement, and a lot of people, they're talking about decentering men on the various platforms. But honestly, I'm just seeing it as balance needing to be restored, and at some point there really needs to be like social messages and actions taken in order to go towards that. I don't necessarily feel, personally, from where I work from, in my experience, it's not necessarily so much a man-woman thing, male-female thing. It's more balancing your own energy and bring it into a stabilized place. And it felt like the feminine was critically imbalanced for a very long time, and we did not really have the energy, support and tools to put it back into a stable position. And without that, you can't have like a mastery of it. So like we finally get somewhere with that. And usually those messages are a bit of precursors to what's happening afterwards. Like that's a trend I've noticed with the messages I've been putting out for over a year now. it feels like it's way ahead, and it feels somewhat that it, I think it could make zero sense to some people, and others were like gestating it to some degree, but then it puts like the right words to it. So yeah, and now let's see what advice we have. Not advice, sorry. What can be released in order for this to stabilize faster. And I'm getting grief and regrets, and it's pretty much the version of yourself that you were pre-stabilization of your feminine energy, had experiences, attracted experiences. You kind of worked with it as an ego template to like go about your life, work, your world, the world, and your relationships. And that's not going to be the case anymore, because when you actually are balanced and you step out of imbalance, you won't have the same type of experiences, and that's only normal. It's pretty much like a graduation and something that should be celebrated, but also it feels like you're leaving something behind for sure, and that needs to be looked at and released with care and loving thoughts for the previous version of yourself as much as possible. Those are cups, the 5 of cups. So clearly there has to be an aspect of care and almost nurturing going into it as you release the previous version. And it's also a bit uncomfortable because you can't see yet what your new, to some degree, ego template is going to look like. And when I mention ego here, it's the vehicle you use to move about the 3D experience most of the time, or communicate from the 5D platform space. And yeah, so it's a bit in between of a feeling, in between spaces for now. And you sometimes need to let go of the previous version before the new version actually makes sense and happens. And now what is the advice? And we have the 4 of Cups, and in the 4 of Cups I'm getting we're looking at stabilization, and it's pretty much explaining the space we're in. So if you feel like you're in a bit of a standstill, it's the stabilization that's requiring it. You can't have something anchor into full active chaos. Like sometimes you just need to go about your routine without thinking about it too much, and just letting the energy kind of settle and stabilize. And from there you will actually have a more usable standpoint. And that usually happens after stabilization. You feel like you found your footing again, and you become not so much you become magnetic, but you're magnetized to a different set of experiences from the vantage point you're at from then. So yeah, I hope that was not too rambly and it resonated. Just let me know.